Hello everyone, I'm Michael Serapio. Donald Trump is not yet sworn in, but already he's touching off a political storm here in Ottawa. Yesterday evening, turning to Truth Social to say the following: on January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time that they do, it is time for them to pay a very big price. Now, that post, again from Donald Trump, led to a phone call between the Prime Minister and the incoming President, led to a phone call between the Prime Minister and the Ontario Premier, and tomorrow there will be another phone call involving all the First Ministers. Still not enough for the opposition.
Despite the fact the Prime Minister has known for years that Trump was threatening these tariffs, and for 3 weeks that President Trump had won the election, the only plan he has is a Zoom call. No plan to reverse his disastrous liberalization of drugs that have killed people and now threaten our borders. No plan to fix the broken borders that he caused. No plan to cancel the tax increases that will drive billions and many jobs away. Where's the plan to put Canada first? Here.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Instead of panicking and falling back on slogans like the Leader of the Opposition, we rolled up our sleeves and we're getting to work. We're working with all the premiers, pulling together in a Team Canada approach, because that's how we defend Canadian jobs from coast to coast to coast. I spoke with Donald Trump yesterday evening, talked about how important it was for us to work together to solve some of the challenges we're facing as a continent, as countries, but also work to grow our economy, protect our workers on both sides of the border. This is the responsible, methodical approach we're taking as we move forward, while our opponent falls back on slogans and fear.
Well, more than 73% of Canada's exports go to the United States, so a tariff, especially one as large as 25%, would have a major impact on the national economy. To talk about this, we're now joined by the Treasury Board President, also the Minister of Transport, Anita Anand. Minister, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be here.
Listen, you know, the opposition, you heard it in the House, they're demanding from your government a plan to deal with these criticisms. Does your government have a plan to answer the call from Mr. Trump?
By all means, and let us remember that we did work with President Trump during his last administration. We have the tools, we have the personnel, we have the expertise and the capacity to continue to put that best foot forward. For example, we are fortifying our borders with new surveillance equipment, and we have the public servants necessary at the CBSA to do that work. We also have a Canada-US committee that we are utilizing. We were actually meeting last night as well. That's our third meeting. So the work has already begun, and it had begun before last night. We are without question ready for any eventuality, including working with the Trump administration and protecting Canadian jobs and the Canadian economy.
Okay, so you've been working on these issues then of illegal drugs, illegal migrants across our shared border. But how big of a problem is it? Because reading through what Donald Trump put on Truth Social last night, it seems to be this implication that it's a large problem for the United States, which Canada has not been addressing enough.
We have a strong immigration system. We have strong and fortified borders. And if you come to Canada illegally, you will be deported. That is a key message that we as a government have, and I know that Minister LeBlanc and Minister Miller are very serious about ensuring that the rules relating to immigration, the rules relating to public security are followed and enforced.
And in terms of the drug supply, because Mr. Trump specifically points to fentanyl as an issue for the United States, putting the onus on Canada to do something about the cross-border of that drug. Are there enough measures in place to deal with his concern?
We have strong rules in place in the Criminal Code of Canada, which remains in effect for our country's protection, and we will spare no expense at enforcing the law. That is a beacon of the Canadian legal system and Canada as a whole, and we will continue to ensure that illegal conduct is prosecuted and that those who break the law are facing the consequences necessary.
Now, do you think this will hedge off any tariff being imposed? Because, when you go through the post again, he says on day one, when he's inaugurated, he's going to bring in these tariffs. There is no grace period for Canada or Mexico. He says the tariffs will stand until he's satisfied with the actions Canada takes. Can you actually prevent the tariffs from happening? Is there enough, do you think, to sway Donald Trump?
Michael, let me mention that we worked with the Trump administration. The last time, we actually succeeded in having a new NAFTA for our country. We actually succeeded in ensuring that $3.3 billion of trade that passes through our border every single day with the United States continues. And we also ensured that during the pandemic, we continue to supply raw materials to the United States while importing products that they were making with our raw materials. So the relationship between Canada and the United States is symbiotic. We rely on them, but they also rely on us. And we will continue to stress that point as we protect Canadian businesses, as we protect Canadian workers, and as we build the Canadian economy of the 21st century.
But does that plan include retaliation? If these tariffs do come through on the Donald Trump side, will Canada put in its own tariffs on things coming from the United States?
We will spare no expense at ensuring that we have the protections in place for Canadian workers and Canadian businesses. That's what I will say at this point, Michael. We have not shied away from using retaliatory measures in the past if necessary, and again, all options are on the table. But as I said, our goal is to continue working with the Trump administration to ensure that that symbiotic relationship remains strong for the workers and the businesses on both sides of the border.
Minister Anita Anand, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.